Welcome to the Sports Club, a podcast presented by the Jamaica Observer. I'm Daniel Blake. Thanks for joining us. Today we'll be focusing on the Jamaica Premier League, and who better to talk about it than the Chief Executive Officer and former footballer himself, Owen Hill. Owen, thank you for joining.
Oh man, Daniel. Anyway, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
You're not a current footballer, you know.
Boy, sometimes in my mind I feel that just give me 3 months. 3 months, hard training. I could be back out there. About 20 minutes. I mean, I see the Butlers doing it.
I mean, they're 26. Those days are
far gone.
Yes, but you are now making a positive impact in the space. I'm surprised you didn't bring any peanuts or cashews because Sunshine Snacks recently got on board, and they join a number of sponsors who you guys have secured over the years. How has the Professional Football Jamaica Limited, PFJL, been able to go to these sponsors who have shied away from football in the past to say this is where you should invest your money?
I think a simple way to answer that question, because that's a packed question, I must say, is that people like winners. People like to bet on winners. People like to be a part of brands that are going forward. And over the last 3-4 years, there is a plan that is in place and it is bearing good outcomes. So I think, when we had targeted Sunshine as a part of the support group, the sponsorship cadre of people, they were very excited. They were clear on what their objectives were, and we wanted to ensure that it was the right time, it was the right team, they came in the right space, and I think it worked out. That was what you saw this last 2 weeks was a culmination of 6-7 months worth of actual talking, going through contracts, that kind of discussion.
Yeah, in also talking about that, over the last year and a half, we've gotten more investors in the club. So we see Yanni at Montego Bay, getting Craig, who was once a huge critic of the league, coming into Vere. The Dream Team at Arnett, United Sports Group at Portmore. What does that say about the level that the league has reached, that you have gotten, I wouldn't necessarily say naysayers of the league, but people who were sort of looking at the league like, I don't think I should go here, I don't think my money will go X?
What I will say again in answering a question like that is, it's a part of the strategy. We wanted to ensure that football becomes viable and sustainable. Now, for viability to happen, then you need to have investors into the sport, actual resources, funds, skill sets, that kind of thing. And we're very clear that when we assess the club ecosystem at the time, it needed strengthening. It still needs strengthening at other parts, but investor relations was one of those. We wanted to make sure that we had stronger investor class, ownership group within the overall club ecosystem, and we started targeting. So Veer was one of the main teams that was on that target list. We wanted to match the right investor with the partner. Montego Bay actually was in motion for quite some time. So again, it's looking at the 14 teams. Once they're willing also, because again, there must be that willingness, and then, ensure that the alignment happens. We do the due diligence. So like any business, if there's a merger, if there's a partnership, we have to make sure that those due diligence are followed. And as a result, you find that there is a stronger cadre of investors coming in, because again, they see the carrot at the end of, the whole thing. They see that whenever they play in CONCACAF, there's a certain amount of money to be gained from, exposure. Players, once they are able to sell players consistently, then, they can add a lot to their overall revenue growth. And then just being a part of Jamaica's growth overall. When you have strong clubs, we have strong communities, and by extension, Jamaica is better off.
Yeah, when the honorable chairman, Chris Williams, joined during COVID. And even when you joined, I believe was the 21-22 season, you guys pushed a lot for the league to be, as you mentioned, financially viable. As of today, if you were to estimate, obviously there has been improvement, but are you at the stage now where you can say, all right, we've hit our main target that we set 2-3 seasons ago, and how far do you need to get to reach a point where players can start earning maybe $500, $1 million a week, like we see over in Saudi?
Again, you ask the questions because it begs the thought of, do we really hit the target, or is there a moving target? Because what was last year is really not what is this year. So I would say we're moving in the direction that we're going. Are we hitting all the targets? Probably not, because again, it's a tough landscape, which is good because it allows us to wake up in the morning and, keep going, put that energy and that effort behind it. I would say we're about halfway there. But again, it's a 5-year plan that continuously rolls forward. Right now, we're in the iteration process of setting a next, 3 to 5 year plan. So it's a continuous improving cycle, and I'll say that we are way better than where we started. Are we hitting all the targets? No, we're not, because revenue needs to grow more. We are clear on where the revenue growth will come, and consistently getting all the stakeholder groups, from owners, players, managers, referees, administrators, everybody, we're trying to get on the same page so that when we're launching properly, we are able to move together as one.
Yeah, one of the ways that obviously more sponsors come on board is what happens on the pitch. A few years ago, our former FIFA referee, Peter Prendergast,
right,
regarded the league as a bush league. Now we're in the 2024-25 season.
Yeah.
We've had teams who've consistently played in the CONCACAF Caribbean Cup.
Right.
There seems to be a more serious approach from the clubs to the league. How impressed have you been with the quality, and how much more do you think we need to hit to before we can say this is one of the best in the region, if not the world?
Definitely, it's the best in the region. I can say that hands down. Jamaica Premier League is the best league in the region. The technical abilities are improving, and it starts from implementing the strategy. So for us to get technically better players, then you need technically better coaches. You need better surfaces. You need better facilities. So as you look, you see that, we're putting in those work. The Renfrew School of Football is existing for the improvement of local coaches. So all the coaches should be at a minimum standard once they're in the Premier League, and we keep moving that standard up. So the quality is improving. The playbook that each club will have, obviously a little bit different, but the players are working from that kind of strategy. We're very clear on what is at the end of it too. So, we keep showing them how to move players. We are linking with different scouts and agent groups. We want them to get into the national team so that their exposure can, become greater. And then we keep learning from our international counterparts. So CONCACAF keeps feeding us information through the JFF. And I'll say that we are improving. There's no way, nobody can say it's a bush league. Unless you're overly critical right now. But the truth is, are we to the level that we want to be? No, because our target keeps moving. We want to get it better. We want good surfaces. We want players, their technical abilities to exponentially improve. And as a result, we'll have a better league that you can consume, whether it be coming into the actual facilities, sitting in the stands, or watching it on television.
Yeah, you mentioned coaching education. You guys launched the under-17 program earlier this year. It was a pilot program. How did that go, and how much more do we need in terms of getting more teams involved and getting more youngsters involved?
It's extremely important that we, actually look downwards. A lot of people call it the grassroots process. But we know that for, the seniors to be good, then the grassroots must be strong. So that pilot program that we launched was really just to show the market that if we put systems in place, then chances are we'll get good outcomes at the end of it. So, albeit we had a small group of teams that participated, it was a holistic development program. So it's not just about the competition side of it. We wanted to ensure that they started understanding the psychosocial elements, the nutritional elements, because again, all of these youngsters want to be professional footballers at some point, or not playing on the field, but within the overall ecosystem. So that program was good. We're looking to have it in a more expansive way come, this season at the end of, the traditional schoolboy season. And we hope that we will have more partners on board to ensure that we can spread it across all the teams that can participate and give them an opportunity to showcase their best youngsters.
Yeah, even in regards to youth development, there was a period where it was felt that not many youngsters were getting a chance in the league, to a point where people were pushing to have a quota system to say, all right, you need at least 2 players in the starting team or maybe 5 in the squad so that, it would improve their chances. I think that some of the player sales, including recently with Kaheem Dixon, has made some of them more open to playing youngsters. But do you think that a quota system is even necessary, because that's still an agenda being pushed out there?
I mean, you don't want to put a quota system in place merely for the fact that that seems very restrictive. Again, we are here to facilitate and enable, so we show people why it would be important to have a good mix of youth and experience, and whatever you call experience, that's up to you. It's still a competitive league, so we want to make sure that every team is fully compliant with the competitive side of it. Again, putting a quota system probably becomes a little bit more restrictive. However, we harp on it every single day. When you have younger players playing more minutes, professional, senior minutes, their value goes all the way up, exponential. So whenever there's a time for sale, then, the person who is 17 or 18 with 2,000 minutes consistently playing at, whether it be the senior level or at the junior level at the national team or whatever that is, will fetch a higher price. Somebody will want to look at that player more. And here it is, you have the best opportunity to do that. You have 39 games. That's, way more than the average number of games that any team may have the opportunity to play. So you get a chance with a deep squad to actually rotate players, and that's now when you blood your younger players, give them an opportunity, because that's the only way you can unearth talent. If you give them more games and you expect them to do well, then you will be surprised at the end of it.
Yeah, recently Chapelton Maroons back in the league, Racing United in their debut. We're almost at the end of the first round. Compared to last season when we had Treasure Beach and Lime Hall hovering around this year, now it seems that there is a little bit more
parity.
Was that a concern at any point, that the teams coming from tier 2 would sort of roll over and die, even though it is a long season? But have you been pleased with the fact that there's no clear leader or no clear team who is going down right now?
Yeah, I am very pleased. I think, again, the equity across the league is speaking to the fact that every single team is retooling as, week in, week out, I would say. None of the teams are here just to participate. Everybody wants to actually make a good showing. And we ensure that, we hammer this out weekly with the different teams. We have calls with them. We try to show them how to build their overall football organization. So Whenever you see them play on, the field on a Sunday or a Monday, I'm not particularly surprised because I know that a lot of work is being put in. So from the technical side of it, again, because there are some minimum standards, whoever is coaching will have that kind of pedigree. Now, because you're a pedigree coach, then you don't want to lose. You want to employ the tactics. You want to go out and find the players. You want the players to actually, play in the system that you're putting forward. So I think that's what you're seeing with the results from these two promoted teams. And then, again, the players themselves, they want to prove, they want to knock on the door of the national team, or they want somebody to be looking at them to possibly sell on. So they're also being held accountable by them, by themselves, peer-to-peer kind of thing. And I think it helps with the league itself, because what we want is a competitive league always. That's what sponsors want. That's what fans want. And we want that. Once it stays competitive throughout, regardless of the outcome, we're happy.
Yeah, 11 of the clubs got regional licenses, which means they'll be able to participate in CONCACAF competitions. But the two newly promoted teams and Humber Lion just have the local license. And let's say Humber Lion, Chapelton, or one of them goes on to win the league, they won't be able to participate there. So I know that the responsibility is on the Jamaica Premier League, but how do we get maybe tier 2 who have the opportunity to get into the Premier League to reach a level where, when they come in the league, they can be competitive and even compete against teams across the Caribbean?
Very good point. Again, I think I'll use the opportunity now to state that, with the institution of the first instance body at the GFF, they would have done a lot of work just to ensure that at least 11 of the 14 is all the way there. Having said that, we still have 3 that is not compliant to the regional standards. And again, we want, and I get that's a KPI that I would have taken on to say all our clubs will or should have that regional license, because you want to give everybody a fair chance. Now, what it takes to get the regional license are some compliance related activities. I mean, having your audited financials, ensuring that you submit your business plans, doing the things that are requiring you to be compliant at that level. How can we help? By exposing them early, by creating those synergies, by finding the resource and, passing it on to the individual clubs to say, you don't have an audited financials, well, you need to start from now. Whether it be you're in the league at the JPL level or at the tier 2 level, if you're not registered at the company's office, well, these are the things that you should be doing, a checklist of sorts, because we want to make sure that our league stays compliant. Our ranking generally goes up when the league is compliant, and then the teams actually give themselves a real fighting chance now of competing. Because again, sad to say, what if Humber Lion wins the Premier League? What if Chapelton wins the Premier League? What if, they may not be able to, and hopefully we can, find a way to get them in. But the truth is, we want everybody to stay compliant, and we will keep providing them, if you want to say the cheat code, that playbook, to say, hey, here are the list of things that you should be doing from now, so that if you're moving up, then you have it. And if you're in the league currently, here are the things that you should be doing as well to stay compliant.
I know the media, including myself, over the years, we tend to focus on the weaknesses of certain things. But from what you have seen since your tenure as CEO, what would you say is the greatest strength of our administrators of these various clubs and the stakeholders and so forth?
I would say the vision of the overall leadership. I think it's top tier. Football is the number 1 sport in the world, and I would say we are barely chipping away at the iceberg. But the truth is, there is that intention, the willingness is there. So, the board of directors that, actually guide the PFGL, the chairman is, big thinker. And he's always going to find, or they're finding different ways to hit it, the different targets. Again, it's a working process. So at no point are we comfortable. At no point is everybody, sitting on their laurels and saying, yes, we're good. But the truth is, we have made significant strides. We have never had this kind of built out ecosystem since the Premier League is in motion. And again, we're standing on the shoulder of the work that people like, Carvel and Clyde and Andrew Price and Pat Carell and late Edward Siag. And those are people who would have built the foundation. And as a result, we're saying, okay, these were things that we're good with. We're going to be using these elements and we're going to go all the way up because everybody needs to actually benefit from it. So I think, we're in a good place pretty much. Again, sometimes because we're measuring ourselves and, everybody measures us against international standards, benchmarks, you get a little nervous and sometimes, you feel taken aback by the whole thing. But when I look regionally, I think, yeah, we're doing well. We're doing well.
Yeah. One thing which a lot of people criticize, not just the league about, but just Jamaican football in general, is our playing surface. I think we may have a few stadiums who, probably meet regional, maybe international standard, but the overall consensus across Jamaica is that we don't have the surfaces to play good quality football all the time.
Correct.
From the PFJL, how can you as the body help to, I guess, improve the quality? Because even though it is the club's responsibilities, and I would also say the JFS responsibility, but knowing that your league is the one that's being broadcast, what can be done to ensure that these clubs get to a stage where they're playing on quote unquote carpet?
Well, public-private partnerships is the way to go. We're clear on that as a strategy. So ensuring that the surfaces are at a minimum standard to create that kind of dynamism in the football play is key. It's one of the biggest marketing tools. Again, I would have learned that through my exposure at the regional and international level. So when you look at the surfaces, it helps you to want to watch it, want to actually play. So how we're helping them is, finding public-private partnership opportunities for them. We're also looking at alternate venues because the challenge we currently have with the fields that we have, a number of teams play on the same field. So the actual maturity of the field is not where it needs to be. A constant under 13, under 15, under 17, under 20, and that's across gender, both male and female, and then the senior team. And then, oftentimes we don't have the right irrigation system, or we just don't have the right personnel to take care of the field. So it's a broad area, but we're clear. Ensuring that there's public-private partnership, ensuring that, we have alternate venues so that, you have a match venue that is specific only on match days. And we're trying to provide different new technology to them, show them, because there are different ways to infuse new technology. So it's not just solely hard grass. You have some artificial mixed in with, regular grass, and that will keep the overall pitch at the certain level that we want. And we know once the pitch is at that level, then we'll get good football.
We've had, as we mentioned, in the summer, Kahim Dixon moving from Arnett to Charlton Athletic in League One in England.
Right.
We had Trevante Stewart from Mount Pleasant to Syria. Obviously, huge things for our league. But is there a sense that we should be pushing out more, seeing the talent that we have been seeing over the last 2-3 seasons?
Absolutely. We should be. Again, I've set a target, no less than 10 this year. So I'm putting myself under the microscope that we should be exporting no less than 10 Premier League players this season. And the reason for that is twofold. One, or economy is unable to really absorb the kind of talent and, provide them with the resources, whether it be salaries, etc. So once you're a good talent at a youth level, then you should be playing in more professional leagues with, different kind of economics surrounding that. So what it then means is that, one, we have to capture the games, we have to promote the players, we have to get them ready so that when they have these trials and, stints like that, they are actually securing the opportunities, and then support them while they're there, because we don't want them to return because they're unable to really maximize on their talent. And again, the vision is always build, train, export. That's the vision. Build, train, export, so that we have that conveyor belt of talent always come out, moving out of Jamaica, and become that source market for talent who wants to come here. Use this as your springboard to go elsewhere. We see that with a lot of the Caribbean nationals, and I think more people will want to come into the league for that reason. So we're building out that scout network. So if you're a scout out there, if you're an agent out there, contact us, because we have the talent. We have the raw material here in Jamaica. I can tell you that much. And we can, get you some good opportunities. So we are not comfortable with that, and we are saying we want to push out, like I said, no fewer than 10 for this season.
Yeah, in doing that as well, obviously the mentality of the players and coaches are important. Obviously you can't go out there and let them market themselves, or go out on the field and let them play. But how do you send that message to them constantly? Because sometimes it feels like players do go through the motion, because maybe their personal life, or maybe what's going on in their surrounding community allows them to drop off. But how do we consistently get that message to them to say you could be playing in England or Italy or France or wherever?
Well, show them the poster child year on year. You spoke about Trivante as the poster child, 2 years ago. Kaim is now the poster child. We are showing them these examples to say you could be this. Again, providing them with real tools, because a lot of times it might seem, too far out of their reach. We're not talking about the Messis and the Ronaldos and the Mbappes. We're saying, let's find the easiest way out, the options that are available. Again, I think here's a good opportunity. Leon, we need you. Mr. Bailey, come back and talk to them. Kaim, Bowser, all of the national players. We want for you to adopt a team, adopt a player, adopt a team. I had a good little discussion with Raheem Sterling, and he's doing some good work. And I'm saying, once you have connections to Jamaica, once you're willing, able, just pass us the contacts, just get us the opportunities, because a lot of times that's what it requires. Just, a one phone call, a one text message. Like I said, Daniel, we have the goods. We do have the goods. We just need some good opportunities. So every opportunity we get, whether it be public, private, anything of the sort, we are hammering home that you must be ready if you're a player. And the way that you get ready you have to be training properly, you have to be eating right, mentally you have to be strong, and you have to understand the football education side of it. And then we will do the marketing. We will help you to clean up your image. We'll help you to, go out there and represent. And that's what we want. The Jamaica Premier League should be that place where everybody's looking on. Again, Jamaican culture is so strong. I think any Jamaican in any team will add value. Just look at Colorado Switchbacks right now.
Yeah. We obviously could go on for 2-3 hours.
Yes.
But I do want to end on this, because recently some of the Premier League players were involved in a forum on International Men's Day.
Yep.
And over the last few years, we've seen more of the quote-unquote holistic development. Tivoli, I believe, had a session with Jayan about financial management, and we've been seeing all of these things. Why have you guys decided to focus on the off the field aspect as well, especially when it had been somewhat ignored in the past?
Because we're clear. I mean, you spoke at the start. I'm a farmer baller, but one of the key elements is the holistic athlete, the holistic person. And for you to get that holistic development, then it cannot just be on the field. A lot of what you learn on the field is the technical side. So again, any opportunity that exists, any exposure, that was just a conversation we had with the ministry, had a courtesy call with the minister. And again, there's a program within the ministry, in the gender unit to ensure that male empowerment is a major part of their strategic objectives. And I was willing. I'm like, why not? We have close to 700 males in our ecosystem. We need to expose them. And quite frankly, they were excited. They got to be exposed to additional information that they wouldn't have normally on a day-to-day basis had. And again, all the partners who are on board, the JN Monies, the VM groups, every one of the entities that also have their own social outreach and philanthropic efforts, we are willing to partner with them because we want to give that holistic exposure. So at the international level, it happens internally at the club. They have their own built out ecosystem, whether it be psychologists, financial managers, market, everybody. In our jurisdiction, we may not always have that resident in the club. So if we can find it in the corporate spaces that are a part of the organization, then we're going to take it and we're going to pass it to the athletes. And I'm certain that they're excited and, making good use of it.
Yeah, we need to have a part 2 and a part 3. But we will check.
I probably need to be the resident. You know what I mean? We can have a resident podcast.
We can make it possible. We can make it possible. Let me just link Chris out to the show.
For sure. Anybody who wants to jump in, come on and sponsor some good talk.
Yeah, Owen, really appreciate the insight, and we know that we're going to have you back, whether in a few weeks or a few months, but continue doing the good work with the PFJL.
Well, thanks for having me, and again, it's a pleasure just to speak on what we've been doing, and hopefully, this reaches the wider audience and they're able to add their 2 cents, whether it be literally or figuratively, to what we're trying to do.
Well, they can certainly add their 2 cents on Jamaica Observer's YouTube channel. Thank you for watching the Sports Club. Remember, you can like, subscribe, and leave your comments. Until next time, see you again.
Good.